everyone. Welcome to the Foul Play YouTube channel. Here we are at open mic number 243. I think this is part 13 of our going through the DOJ reports file from October of last year. This has been a lot of interesting things in this document. But Sunshine Christina was here, but her internet reset, so or modem, whatever. She's going to be here shortly. Like everyone else, I don't know. I'm not sure about Susan. She's probably still at work, or she may be too tired. And everyone else is doing their own thing, whatever that may be, busy with real life. So anyway, we could quickly say hello to. Look at there. There's Pete Moss and Tony, Gloria, Colette, Sheila Hawkins, the Clack family, Donna Wolfich, Passive Bear, Devin. Look at there. Look at there. Thank you so much, Donna. Really appreciate it. There's JD, Robert Cecil. Thank you guys for joining in, gals. Not much, I guess, to really talk about. I'm still waiting on, well, the DOJ and Calumet County to give me anything. It's a stone wall at this point. I have no idea, about next steps to do except for legal action, which I don't want to take, but I may end up having to do to get anything else because they have been just ridiculously ignoring what I would consider records custodians' duties. I've waited patiently. I don't, I don't yell at them. I don't cuss at them. I don't do any of that kind of thing. I've tried to be very professional and civil towards them without going the other route. I don't think it's going to solve anything anyway. So, a lot of activity on X the last week, of course, with Zoller getting denied by the Court of Appeals. Her next steps are going to. I mean, I don't think she wants to go federal unless she absolutely has to. So she's going to see. I'm guessing that if the Wisconsin Supreme Court will take the case. Donna says, "Is there any way someone else could request the things you asked for using their name that can be passed straight to you, if that would make it easier to get them?" Yeah, we actually did that before. That's not necessarily a bad option, a bad thing to try. I haven't asked anyone with these other requests, these that I've made. Going back to August of 2022, that's my oldest one with the DOJ. Then I've got 3 or 4 from 2023 with the DOJ, and I've got 2 from. I think I've got 2 with Calumet County from 2024. I think that's right. I don't know. Maybe there was another audio file that I wanted that Cherie got that for whatever reason had been denied me. I guess I'm on a list now. I'm sure I'm probably am. Watch out for Jack, that guy. He's requesting, and we're just going to stonewall. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's an idea. Yeah, I've tried to alert the media, Mr. President, and no one seems to really care. And I'm not really sure why. I mean, these different media outfits, they get into their own little quandaries with various law enforcement agencies to get, open records or whatever organization they may be investigative reporters looking at. So I'm unless they can get something out of it, and maybe they could. I don't know. I can't imagine I'm the only one having trouble getting things. I haven't talked to anybody recently that the person that's requesting things. Hey, there's Christina right there. There she is.
Hello, hello. Yeah, that my internet just reset. We had a bad storm earlier, and I
Oh
have
yeah.
a feeling. Yeah, I have a feeling we got like almost 5 inches of rain today.
Whew.
Yeah, and I think a
Keep.
couple of poles somewhere might have got knocked out, and they probably put them back online. We didn't lose power, thankfully.
Well, that's
Oh,
good.
yeah.
Yeah, don't send that rain up here because it'll turn into like 7 feet of snow because it's so cold.
Yeah, how's it like? What did y'all get with that storm last week?
Surprisingly, they were forecasted for like 8 inches here, but it was a lot of lake effect stuff. But it's hard to forecast because
Mhm.
we're inland. I mean, along the coast of Lake Michigan, they can call it pretty good. But once that passes about 30 miles inland, it's really hard to forecast. We didn't get but a couple inches or so.
Mm.
It wasn't nothing like what they forecasted, but the bitter cold is what we're coming into now. I think it's 10 degrees right now with the wind. It's
Oh
well
my
below zero.
goodness.
Yeah, it's well below zero. That's nothing. I think the high for Tuesday is 6 degrees.
Wow. Yeah, it's
Ah,
supposed to. So they're claiming that it could possibly snow here. So
oh,
yeah, Floridians and snow just don't mix. We just don't have experience with it. Um, People
yeah.
just get. So how are you? Hi everyone in chat. I guess
Yeah.
they denied Zoner's motion. I saw.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit about that. I guess our only next steps is to go to the Wisconsin Supreme Court to see if they'll take the case. Which I'll be shocked if they do, but
Mhm.
we'll see.
So, I didn't realize Scott Walker's now the governor.
Hmm, is he?
Yep. I went to double check because I
I
do.
thought he had turned out.
So I googled it, and it says that he is the. Let me double check. Governor
Yeah, I thought he
Scott
had.
Walker. It says Scott Walker, and it's Wikipedia. So apparently, there's a new
That's
governor
interesting.
in Wisconsin. Yeah, and if I remember right, he had something to do with Brendan not getting out, right?
Well, that was Brad Schemmel.
Okay.
Yeah, that was Brad Schemmel.
I know
He's
this name from something with this case. I just can't remember what.
I can't remember if Walker was governor at the time or not. I'm not sure. I don't think he was, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
No, it was Brad Schimmel that had like 19 heart attacks when Duffin imposed the order for him to be released. Schimmel damn near died 4 or 5 times, on camera. He was so. Now we were talking about open records request, and Donna Wolfich had said, would it be, you know, maybe a plan to have someone else request the things that I've requested to see you know, if that they can get it because
Hmm.
basically I've been earmarked to not give anything. This guy's trouble. He's gonna put it on. He's gonna put it online. Everybody will see. So what? If you got nothing to hide, what difference does it make, right?
Exactly.
Nan's life. Which media? I didn't want to do that. Come back here. Nan's life says, which media do you suppose would listen and report, Mr. Preston? Yeah, it's a good question. I've tagged national media. I've tagged local media. I've tagged Now I've done this on X. I've tagged media in Illinois, Chicago area. It didn't matter. Uh, it's been in the long past, but I even tagged Farrak a couple of times, but there just doesn't seem to be any real interest.
It's like this case has a beware tag on it or something. It's very bizarre. Very, very
Donna,
bizarre.
it is. Donna says it's just crazy how they keep you waiting for things they're supposed to stick to specific timelines. It's sad doing this because you do so much for everything. Well, yeah, it's the open records request. It's their own guidelines that I've tried to follow. I've not ever done anything shady or anything like that. And their own guidelines from the DOJ, they're saying that open records request, unless it's a complicated request, should take about no more than 10 days. It should be done. Um, it's just laughable, really. That's all I can really do. If I get mad, then I'm just going to be, I'm just sitting here mad stewing by myself. It irritates me, but I'm not gonna get super hacked off about it. I can't because I'm just sitting here being hacked off, and that doesn't do any good.
No, you got to put that energy into creating requests that they have to honor almost, you know what I mean? Because they, it's worded in such a way
Well,
where they
I
can't
mean,
deny it.
well, that's the thing. I've had several conversations with Paul Ferguson at the DOJ, and I say conversations, I mean email. I'd requested some things, and he's saying, well, we're going to do a big release and blah blah blah, and they're like, okay, I don't care. That has absolutely zero effect on my open records request, unless you've changed the law that I can't find. Of course, that didn't happen, of course.
No,
But
and
to use to use that as a block, go ahead.
well, it's basically feeding off of that. I don't see how you blanket like doing a dump, because that's what it is. You know what I mean? It's a records dump. It's almost like giving discovery to the defense attorney and hiding little nuggets in it. If it still doesn't take away the responsibility of fulfilling individual requests. Thank you
That's
for
right.
supplying these documents in a format where everyone can get to them. But now I need you to honor this request that, we've been discussing. How long you have been talking about some of this stuff, Jax?
Years,
Yeah. I
years.
I haven't filed a records request in probably a year and a half, 2 years, somewhere around there. And I have open records requests that I still get their little where we have records responsive to your request, where blah blah mass mail out. And I also have one in with the FBI. And I looked the other day, and they, beyond telling me they were processing my request, they haven't gotten back to me either. And that one's 4 years old.
See, and that's just completely. I mean, to me, it's wrong. I'm
Oh,
sure you're not requesting, how to design and build a rocket engine. Nothing complicated. You know,
mm-mm.
virtually all of my requests. There are a few of them that I guess you could consider to be a little bit complicated, but only in the fact that it would require somebody to burn several CDs. Something a 12-year-old can do.
Yeah, exactly. And
And this is pretty funny. Kelly McAlien, you practically support their office, Jack. Well, I mean, you know, I know, these various states, they have, they have hundreds of cases that people request documents. People and newspapers, TV stations, they make records requests. I know this is not their only case that they're having to concentrate on. I get that, but I've been more than patient. And like you said, all the requests that I have in with the DOJ, they've
that's
told me they have records responsive to my request, so they have something that I want.
oh yeah, no, and they know, and you have proof that they have it, which is why they can't deny it outright.
That's right.
And that's the
That's right.
thing. Yeah, you hear my granddaughters in the background. If you hear them,
It's okay.
they're
Well,
on. They promised they were going to be quiet. It's funny. I find it
mine.
hysterical. They're on their
Oh
best
yeah.
behavior.
Well, mine came in here last week, and she's been on a couple of lives. Just come in and just starts talking, which is fine. I mean,
Mhm.
she's 2, so
Oh yeah,
whatever.
yeah. Oh well, we all
We,
know about Tank. He's gonna get attention.
of course.
So
3 Ravs, why don't you team up with Ripper Jack, Jack, as he offered you to get these records? Well, Ripper's doing other things. 3 Ravs, he's into some other things. He's not really so much online. I'm not saying he's not, he wouldn't do it, but he's after the Highland Community College thing, and just so much going on with the Tiger King. I think that Ripper just mistaken. He wanted to break from doing these kinds of things. It's and just do something in real life. With this time. He's got other things going on that um, in real life too. So, no, I've not asked Ripper to request any of these documents at all. But I mean, Ripper and I talk every, I won't say often, but every month or so we'll have a conversation. He's still doing his thing, and so I don't know. Who knows what the future will hold?
yeah.
License plate, Jamie. That's Richard Boyd Security Rabs. I I'm gonna go there, Jamie.
What was the? I haven't had a time to read the denial. How does this judge sound?
Well, it's 3 judges.
Oh,
Oh yeah, the Court of Appeals is 3 judges,
oh, okay.
but their decision can't be cited for any, like before, whatever that word is,
Oh,
can't be cited for any other case. And their
oh,
opinion was the opinion was unsigned, but they basically agreed with Judge Angie. And I don't,
interesting.
one of the big things. I mean, there's several things in it that are kind of mind blowing, but they're saying like Judge Angie did. Well, no one saw Bobby with the keys, the electronics, um, et cetera, et cetera. Like that's the only evidence, but somebody allegedly saw Bobby with the RAV4, and that's not evidence.
Yeah,
See how that becomes this huge double standard?
yeah. It's like um, it's whatever they need to say to justify not
Yep.
doing what needs to be done.
Yeah, I don't understand that mindset and how
Mm,
that can be an accepted thing because the RAV4 is the piece of evidence. It's not a just a car somebody was driving around. Doesn't have to be Bobby. It could be anyone. It doesn't matter if they've got her car. She's been reported missing. They can't find her, and someone is driving her car. Okay, Houston,
and
we have a problem.
yeah, and we have no witness and nothing besides the questionable blood stains um, that Stephen was ever driving her car, because Brendan's testimony wasn't used in Stephen's trial. And
Yeah.
the RAB is the only place where we have a potential crime scene.
Yep, I agree. Good comment here from Donna. Yeah, just to explain a little something here to those that haven't done records requests. If they get inundated, it may backfire, and they could potentially refuse everything. Well, they really can't, not legally. I mean, they could, I guess, but legally speaking, they have to have a reason that's in the guidelines in the law for them to refute or deny a open records request, and they're pretty specific. Nothing that I have requested falls into that category, and I think in all the ones that I've ever requested, I've only had maybe I know one for sure, and that was I requested the personnel file and all reports from Sergeant Singleb as it applies to the Avery case in a given time period. That one took some extra because he's a former police officer, or he may still be a cop for all I know, but I think he's probably retired at this point. Yeah, you know what? I know he is. I know he's retired. Um, so that's a little, those can be requested, but they're a little bit special circumstance. And there was another one I requested. I can't even remember what it was. It was but all other than that, everything I requested, the bulk of it can be found in the DOJ reports and/or the discovery discovery emails that Kratz wrote to Beauty and Strang and Loy. So, yeah, they could just say, you know what, you're denied, but they have to have a reason to deny it. They have to, and they have to tell you the reason too.
Mm-hmm.
They can't just say denied and that's it. So, all right. Um, I'm ready to get rolling. If you guys we don't have too many more to go before we finish this document out. Get it pulled up here. We're up to DCI report 311. I think there's 372, but many of these are, they're pretty short. Yeah, go ahead.
Now I was going to say, wow. Yeah, I thought it was around 370 total.
Yeah. Well, of this case number 051776, and as I've told everybody as we went along, there's a couple other case numbers that they utilized that are attached to this case. Why they did that, I don't know. I don't understand it. I'm sure they had a reason. I just don't know what that reason is. And I'm not trying to be nefarious in any way. Maybe I'm guessing there's a legitimate reason why they would do that.
Yeah, your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
It doesn't
Anyway.
seem like a great idea when you're trying to keep good, coherent records, but what do I know?
Well, I mean, even some of these DCI reports are screwed up. I mean, there's one, it was early on, the date is wrong. I mean, the occurrence date is correct. The report date itself is incorrect. Actually, I think there's actually one that the occurrence date was incorrect. Actually, I know there is. There's one. It's wrong. There's others that are they're so poorly filled out that it's not even funny. I think we're going to get to one here before this week or next week where this guy we've talked about quite a bit. He works in the audio, video, and this Larry Flessert. He talks about doing this conversion for Fassbender and Manitowoc County, converting audio files,
Mm.
I'm sure that we're on a digital recorder or some other type of device that he has to then, get use his their software equipment or equipment and software, I should say, and then he goes in and turns it into an MP3 or MP4 using their equipment and run off a master copy, and then from that, CDs, DVDs get burnt as requested. Anyway, this one report, nothing has a property tag number. Nothing
Hmm.
throughout it. There's nothing that's dot dot dot, and virtually all the other ones are. There is some kind of receipt that describes what these discs are, and they don't describe it at all. He doesn't describe it at all.
Isn't that interesting?
Well, I have a suspicion one of them is the zipper voicemail.
Yeah.
I can't prove that, but I did request. This is one of the last requests that I did. I requested to know what was converted on this particular report because it just not recorded there, and they got to have some kind of record of it. Otherwise, it's just an open door, come in and do what you want pilot kind of thing. And if that's what they're doing, then they got another real problem. It's like
Yeah.
opening the lab up to just anyone. They're not going to do that.
No.
So, all right, let's get a roll. Let's get started here. This is as I said, DCI Report 311. The occurrence date and the report date are the same, December 12th, 2006. So we're right before trial. And this Wendy S. Paul worked on the Innocence Project, and I want you to see how Fassbender has it listed here. Project Innocence.
Really?
Yeah, right there.
That's a Tom Fallon term.
Yep, I noticed it right away. And
Yeah.
this is one we've had. This is not like a brand new one. Anyway, he's asking her. Fassbender's asking her, does she remember coming into talking about the Bernstein case? And looking through the evidence when she worked on the Innocence Project during that time frame. And she said she did, and that she likely was accompanied by a few students, which was their procedure. They would bring students with them so they could learn, as they're going.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, it talks about that. She said she remembers coming into town, to Manitowoc, talk to the district attorney and the judge, various people. Anyway, he's looking to see if she saw a blood vial. I think that's where I quit reading it. Box evidence that the district attorney was out there. Attorney Paul advised that she did not recall if the clerk was there. She believed, but wasn't sure that they looked through the box of evidence in the same building at the courthouse. In a room in the building was the box. And when asked if there was any law enforcement present, she advised she could not recall. Fassbender asked if she recalled seeing any blood samples, and she advised she could not recall and stated that it was a long time ago. Of course, it was. You're talking, even at that point in time, you're probably talking 8, 10 years, probably 10 years at 2006. Now, yeah, something like that. So, anyway, she couldn't recall seeing any blood vials. Blood
Interesting.
sample. Yep. And I'm guessing, it's that same box that was set in the clerk of court's office, however it got there. That probably had been sitting there for who the hell knows how long.
Yeah.
Hell of a place to keep all that stuff. Anyway, report 312. The current date is on 12/18. The report date is 12/19. This is a Fassbender report. I don't recall. I'm sure I scanned through this, but I don't remember. Hellfire. Let me go back up. Monitoring of Stephen Irby telephone calls. Oh, really? No joke. So looks like Fassbender listened to recordings caused by Avery from the Calumet County Jail. The recordings were contained on CDR, which Fassbender had received from Investigator Wiegert. Okay, so the CDR was marked Avery's calls. What dates? It's got them listed there: 12/5/06 to 12/12/06. CDR showed that it had been copied on 12/12. The initials Mark Wiegert. We get advised that he had already listened to the first three calls. Fassbender listened to calls 4 through 13. The following is a listing of the phone calls, military time, etc., etc. And I'm not going to read through all these. We've had this report too, so there's nothing new here. Well, I got somebody here. I'm guessing December 11th, 2006.
Yeah, move along. Nothing to see here. Move along.
Well, I'm guessing that redaction is either the preacher, not Jody at this point in time, or Debbie Klemp, the undercover. I don't know if she's undercover or not, but I think she was a plant. Anyway, 313 on 12/13, report date of 12/19, current date 12/13, prison and crime lab regarding Avery blood. And this is where Fassbender went on a hunt to try to find out, at these other facilities, if they had taken his blood at these various prisons he had been moved around in prior to his release. He's got. I know he looked at Dodge. There's several he looked at. He made calls and tried to find out if there had been a blood draw at one of these other facilities, which I think the chances are probably 50-50 that he did have blood drawn at one or more of these other facilities.
Is this during when he was incarcerated for Penny?
Yeah. This pre-2003.
Yeah, so he did 18 years. They took some blood from him for sure.
I would imagine so at one point or another. I don't know. 314, interview of Janet Bonin on 12/21/2006. Fassbender. I don't remember this person. We'll get a quick glimpse here. Janet Bonin, deputy clerk for county for Manitowoc. I'm going to tell you, if this is the little scenario that I'm remembering, I'm trying to remember. I was doing yanking these out. There are several clerks and junior clerks, and there are a bunch. And I believe we're going to see that as we move along here. And again, there's nothing. I read through any of these that we didn't have. I know we had several of them already. And we're at 314. Let me look here. 314. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 20. Yeah, there's we've got all of them up to 320, 321. We've only got the cover sheet. I'm talking about what we originally had.
Okay.
And then there's four missing, 321 to 325. We didn't have those, but anyway, let's move it along here. These we had already. Interview is Lynn Zygmunt, and we know she's the clerk for Manitowoc County. December 21st. Same thing.
Yeah, I've had conversations with her in the past.
Oh yeah, you've had a few conversations with her, as I recall.
She actually isn't difficult. Well, she isn't terrible to talk to, but she's very by the letter of it. Does that sound fair?
Sure.
She's pleasant, but she's very by the book.
Strict.
Yes, very strict. Yeah. That's a good word for it.
Well, I mean that's not necessarily a bad thing, to protect herself, to protect the county, whatever. Hey, looky there. There's Susan. She's in the chat. Yeah, you're super late. You must have went by and got us a box of chicken wings, some hot wings. Good job.
Hello, Susan.
You can jump in if you want, Susan. It's water's warm here. Well, it's not that warm up here. Maybe a little warmer where you're at. Let's move on. 316 report date of 12/22. The occurrence was 12/21. Interview of Robert Bryce. I almost said that wrong. Fassbender and Sergeant Bill Thompson of CASO interviewed Bryce, a deputy clerk from Manitowoc County. See, and I think again, they're looking for
Blood, Stevens blood.
I think so.
Yeah.
They were also looking into, Lincoln Coburn about supposedly having a master key for that room.
Oh yeah, I remember that report.
Bryce advised that she had been. I said Robert. It's Roberta. She had been employed with the clerk of courts in Manitowoc for 21 years. Bryce advised she had known Link of MTSO. She advised that it was possible Link came to the clerk's office by the deputy clerks, but no other area. She advised that she could not say for sure, though, it would have come back. If he would have come back by them, it would have been to drop something off, etc., etc. So they were also looking into that as well, because Beauty and String had raised this point. 317, 12/21 recurrence date, 12/22 report date. Marge Franzen, I think this is another clerk or deputy clerk. Contracted employee with Manitowoc County Clerk's Office. So the interview took place in the clerk of court's office. Franzen provided the following: advised that she is a contract employee paid through Jenny Ingstrom. She does work full-time hours. She advised that she enters citations, filing payments, etc., etc. She advised she'd been in the clerk's office for 7 years. If you have 7 years, said she didn't know Link or Coburn. So, like I said, they're also looking into that other aspect. 318 report date, same as the above, 12/21 or 12/22, and the occurrence date's 12/21. Interviewed Nicole Essert, deputy clerk. Same thing. I'm going to move on. There's nothing new. 319 interview of Janet Galian. Same dates and report date. Another deputy clerk for Manitowoc. There's nothing here.
I did not realize they had all these deputy clerks.
I'm sure I did at one point, but it never clicked because I read the water reports we had. But then when I was yanking these out and doing it, I'm like, damn, they had a lot of deputy clerks there. I'm not sure why they would have so many, but whatever. 320, same dates as above. 20 and 21 I'm sorry, 21 and 22 is occurrence and report date. Marge Baldwin is a deputy clerk for Manitowoc. She'd been there for 15 years. Just sounds like they got a lot of paperwork that goes through that clerk's office for whatever reason.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. They want us to think that they're this very tiny town. Well, but I mean, they're not as small as they make themselves out to be.
No, they're not
smaller, but I think it's actually not that small either.
Well, at the time they were far smaller than Manitowoc, but still they weren't like tiny. No. Right? I mean, they were. I think they had 20, 30 officers, so forth. Manitowoc had, I think, if you counted everyone, probably 60 or 70 on the federal, maybe a few more than that. I can't remember the number, but and what I mean, a lot of these people these officers that are, that work for departments, they're mainly to handle traffic and wrecks and things that are not criminal, like really criminally a criminal aspect of it. So that's a whole nother deal, and it's a whole nother set of training. So officer guy that does pull somebody over for speeding and then thinks they're drinking and does a DUI check on them, it's a whole different thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, they weren't like thinking of Mayberry where you got Andy and a deputy and that's it.
Barney
And they
Fife or whatever
the
his
yeah
name was.
yeah Barney Fox, yeah, that's exactly right. Like a sheriff and a deputy, it's not like that, and that's kind of been how a lot of people want to frame that. Now, in comparison to how big this case was,
Mm-hmm.
I got into this discussion on X the other night about how many officers and agents and were involved. What it was about was that reply brief that Fallon wrote in September of 2006 talking about the clandestine burial site and finding bones. And, I got into this debate with O-Dog about it. And, he says Fallon made a mistake by adding that into his brief. And I don't believe it. I
Uh-uh.
don't, I don't particularly like Fallon. I don't like the way he operates. He's a smartass when he doesn't need to be a smartass. He's arrogant, but that guy's smart as hell. And don't ever take his brain for granted about Wisconsin law. The guy knows Wisconsin law like the
Mm-hmm.
back of his hand. He just doesn't make mistakes like that. I've never seen one. Anyway, uh, they were talking about how stretched Fallon was talking about in his reply brief how stretched their resources were. They had to go here, they had to go here. They were doing all this stuff. They were finding biological material, and then of course that takes time. And I get it. Sure, I get it. But at the same time, go through and count, and anybody can go look at these different DCI reports. And I think that I did one time, and if I'm remembering, there are around 50 or 60 different DCI agents that were involved in one way or another with this case. That's just the DCI alone. I don't know how many Wisconsin state troopers were involved in one way or the other. I think about 90, maybe more than that. Then you had Calumet County, and I'm guessing, give me a number, Christina, 30, 35 that were involved in one way or another.
Yeah.
With the
Yeah. I was going to go a little lower. I was going to say from Calumet, probably 25, 30 dedicated from Calumet.
in one way or the other. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then how many would you say from Manitowoc?
Well, I just, I said 30 or 35 for Manitowoc. In one way or the other, security or, these checkpoints they put up around the property, on Q and 143. And, I don't know, but, overall, there were well over 100 involved. Well over 100. It was a massive investigation from a personnel standpoint. So,
Oh, yeah. I mean, it took a lot of coordinating and planning for them to, run this thing for sure.
Well, I mean, we've got all those phone calls where they talk about this in the phone calls, talking about
Mm-hmm.
scheduling and call this person, just go down the list and blah blah blah. Call people. It was a massive coordination, and then that had to be put out to Poggle or whoever was doing the master overall planning. So it was a pain in the ass. I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, let's move on. I got sidetracked. I apologize. 321. This is same dates as above. I don't remember. Let's see. Records clerk, jury clerk for the Manitowoc County clerk of court's office. Okay, it's a little bit different. Interview took place at Manitowoc County Clerk's office. She's been there for 6 years. She does not know Link. She does not know Colburn either. So there's really nothing there. 322 report. 322, same as above. No, this is the same day, 1222 and 1222 occurrence and report date. Went too fast. Interview of Alice Moore, Mohr, Moore. Alice is a retired deputy clerk from Manitowoc County. She advised she'd worked for the Manitowoc Clerk's Office for 14 years. She advised that the name Link from Manitowoc did not sound familiar. She advised she has come across the name Andy Colburn, but she did not know him. Nothing there. Moving on. 323. Report and occurrence date's the same, December 22nd. Telephone interview of Joyce Banook, retired deputy clerk from Manitowoc. She'd been there for 22 years. She didn't know Link. She advised that she did not recognize the name. She advised that the name Andy Colburn sounds familiar to her, but she did not know him either. We're just going down this long list of clerks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 324, conversion duplication of audio media. Our friend Larry Fleshert. I think this is the one that I requested. I'm pretty sure it is. You can blow this up. You want to read this one, Christina?
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Case number, hold on December 20th, 2006 and December 21st, 2006, senior electronics technician Larry A. Fleischer processed copies of audio files sent to him by Special Agent Tom Fassbender in the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department.
I can tell you right now, I'm going to stop you for just a second. This is the one I requested. Just continue to read.
Okay. The two envelopes received each contained several CDs. Some of the discs contained files that were encoded with the value-added communications file structure. Other discs contained WAV files. Each disc was accompanied by a set of instructions outlining what segment of the given audio file to extrapolate and convert to WAV format. The files that were recorded in the value-added communications format were converted to WAV in their entirety and placed on CDR media. The desired segments were then copied to CDR disk. When this task was completed, the original CDs and the CDs that were produced were turned over to Carla Gildner, Larry A. Fleischer, Senior Electronics Technician, DCI. What is that saying, Jax? Break it down for those of us who don't understand.
What that means is that Fassbender and the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department sent a bag of an envelope full of CDs, DVDs, whatever, to be converted to WAV format, WAV. Here's the thing. With audio files, there's different formats. That just means it's still an audio file, but there are different ways to create that file. There's WAV, which is a WAV file.
Okay.
There's VAC, which that's a VAC file. Almost all of the Stephen Avery jail calls are VAC files.
Okay.
And that's not a common, really, kind of thing for most people. That's more of a like industrial or industry, which, this, Evercom clearly used that format. So anyway, and so you got MP3. That's really current. there are other ones out there too. There's not just those. There's probably a dozen,
Uh,
depending. There's
yeah.
DivX files. DivX became an audio video format years ago. So anyway, these are file formats. They wanted all these converted to .wav WAV files. But if you notice, so he converted the entirety of what's on these CDs that they were sent to WAV format, and then from those he had a set of instructions, which again is not attached. We don't know what was said. We don't know what was on them. It's just like, here's a bunch of CDs, copy them all over to WAV format, extract, yada yada yada, which is what he did. But nothing is property tagged, nothing is identified. They're just a bunch
Mm-mm.
of CDs. That's what I said. Is it just an open door policy? We just come in and do this and we don't label anything all of a sudden?
I
Because
mean,
it, every other report that Flessert has done, there's at least some identifier from the DCI for a property tag. Go ahead.
yeah, well, I was just going to say it's very, and this is like box of bones vibes.
Sure it is.
It's like bags of CDs. CDs of what?
That's right.
Like you're an officer. This is a case. How did you even know this went to this case if it's not tagged so we can track it?
That's right.
And that just, it doesn't make logical sense.
Doesn't make any sense at all.
It's like he's only writing the report so he can get paid for the work. It's not,
Yep.
he's not writing the report to preserve a chain of custody for the case or anything like that.
Well, this completely circumvents the chain of custody because they're not identified. It's just about, like you said, it's just a bag of dirt.
That's right. That's right.
Well, I requested this. I requested a copy of the instructions too. Of course,
Have
I got the reply, and we're working on doing a discovery dump. Blah. Okay, good for you. How's that affect my open records request?
Yeah, exactly. That's like straw man. I mean, like you
Well,
hear
sure it
about
is.
straw man
That's
arguments,
that's
whatever.
right.
That's
That's exactly
exactly
what it is.
how they're blowing us off with that. Um, Using the massive dump of records. Uh,
Well, I don't know what they're going to release that, and so
mm,
what I requested may not even be considered to be released. So
mm, mm.
again, unless they've changed the open records law, it has no bearing for me, and it shouldn't for them. I've requested it. You either give it to me or deny it, and tell me. And by the way, tell me why you're denying my request.
Yes, exactly.
So
I agree.
anyway,
Um,
anyway, this one really irritated me.
yeah, yeah. I remember reading it, and thinking this is ridiculous.
It's a real
Now,
oddity.
yeah, now, oh, daggum, I lost my thought just that quick. I was going to ask about, um,
Was it a CD or a
make your
recording?
request. Have you requested these since the massive discovery?
Yes, yes. This is one we didn't have.
Okay. And they're still giving the same reply.
Basically, yeah, we received your request, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm
Mm,
glad. When are you going to fill it? When are you
yeah.
going to approve it or deny it? Yep. After this came out and I was reading through, I'd have to look, but I probably requested this one back in mid-December, I'm guessing. I'd have to look. I can't remember exactly, but it's probably been a month or more after I read it. I'm like, wait, what? You
Yeah.
didn't identify anything that you went through and did the work for. You loaded it and see. Here's another thing. They have. Um, I won't call it a server, but it is with specific drives. And anybody that's worked in an office or that kind of thing, they may understand this. Now, I'm not trying to be, nerdy or confusing, but a server, you can have multiple different like hard drives partitioned off for different things, and a lot of companies do it that way. They have a computer set up for different files or different cases are loaded into that computer. They have a master copy of that file, so they don't have to convert it again.
Mm-hmm.
It would just be stupid of them not to. And so, and I will tell you that certain file formats you can't just open up the hard drive after you copied a certain file type, audio file type over, and it will, you just load and play. It won't work. It must be on a disk. That's just the way that file format is written. It must be on a disk. It will not play from a hard drive. That's fact. Now, not all of audio files are like that, but some of them are.
Yeah.
And there's one report in here that explains that they couldn't get it to work, and then like Fleshert came in and said, well, he extracted it the files to CD and it played. That's right, Susan. Accompanied by sub instructions outlining what segments they were given. That's right.
Yeah.
WTF indeed. That's what I said.
And the fact that he actually, I think he used the word extrapolate in there, and
Yep.
which is saying that he had a specific task to do.
With a set of instructions that were in the envelope.
Mm-hmm. And it makes you wonder. And they came from Manitowoc County. They're either jail calls.
From Fassbender and Manitowoc County.
Ah, so okay, so two separate.
Yes.
And so two separate. I got you. So, yeah, very interesting indeed.
Question from Passive Bear: how many photos do you think has not been released? I was told that there are roughly 7,350 photos in the case total. We've got roughly half of them.
Wow, I can remember we only had like 100. Remember them days?
I do.
Yeah.
I remember the days when we didn't have any.
Yeah. Oh no, we had. You've been around a long, long time. I've just been around a long time.
Back in the early days after man was released, we didn't have anything but some newspaper clippings and some old newsreels, archived newsreels on these various channels that a lot of them got took down right away. But N64 was able to grab several, but he didn't get them all, unfortunately. Anyway, yeah, so we've got roughly half of the photos in the case, as I've been told.
Yeah, wow.
I haven't personally done the math, but it's thousands, thousands of photos. It's crazy.
I wonder if the what's her name, Brenda. I wonder how many she's got.
Well, I was told all of them, but what do I know?
Interesting.
Can't prove that. She wouldn't show. She wouldn't. Yeah. She wouldn't share. But anyway, all right. Let's move on. Report 325. The current date is again around this time. 21st occurrence. 22nd report. Records examination. Manitowoc County Clerk of Courts. Don't think there's anything new here. Fassbender and Strauss and Bill Tyson of Calumet went to examine records at the Manitowoc Clerk's office. On said date, they met with Manitowoc County Clerk Glenn Zigman She was allowed in the office for purpose of examining Stephen A. Reed's sexual assault files under case 85 CF 118 prior to entry. They signed in, but there's nothing here. I know we've got this. This is not a new file. I'm 99% sure. 325. Yeah, we've had this one. Susan did ask me which records we didn't have before, and I've not went through and picked out, but it's a lot that we didn't have prior to this release, even though there's major redactions.
We definitely got probably 10 or so at least, right?
Oh no, there's more like, I'm guessing 40.
Oh wow.
Yeah, there's probably 40 that we didn't have, something like that. Give me just 1 second. I gotta mute just 1 second.
That's all right. I just had to mute too. I'm having impromptu slumber party. So Court of Appeals is where we're headed next. I'm not going to hold my breath, but I am going to hope and pray for the best. Somebody in this case has got to develop a moral compass and do the right thing. One can only hope. Let's see what this says. A letter dated from attorney Annette. This one just looks like these are medical records of Stevens. This is probably when they took his blood, when they did the testing when he got out, when they were doing Penny's fingernail clippings, and they were checking to see if his DNA was under her nails.
Okay, I'm back. My wife had came down. I hadn't really said anything to anyone outside of foul play, but she took a bad fall on Christmas night and hit her head twice. She took 2 falls actually, and but anyway, she's recovering, and she walked down here without a walker, so she's pushing her limits to see what she can do. She's continuing to recover though. So anyway, she'd come down to visit me.
That's good.
Yeah, good for her. Anyway, nothing
How
new.
long has she been home, Jax?
She got home Thursday from
Thursday.
the rehab facility. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's a relief.
It is. I mean, brain injury, you just never know. But it's like when you hear the term "getting your bell rung." That really is what it is. Better than anyone here.
I use the analogy of getting in the ring with Mike Tyson and coming out losing. That's what it feels like. One thing I will say is, and I'm sure they've already said this, is she's going to have long periods of sleepiness. That was probably the weirdest thing. I mean, mine lasted because I had brain surgery now, but I still go through it, and it's been almost 6 years. So where I'll run on 3-4 hours sleep, but then sometimes I have to sleep 10 or 12 hours. The brain's a funny organ. It's capable of much more than what we realize.
Sure.
But when it's ready for you to go to sleep so it can do some repairs, you're not going to get out and going to sleep. That's the only way
Yeah,
I can explain
yeah.
it.
She does have periods of sleepiness, and she doesn't want, we're like, lay down, take a nap, you just go rest, and she
And
does. So
well, that's good because I was going to say I'm hard headed.
yeah,
Um, I don't like feeling like I'm being lazy, and I was raised,
it,
by
yeah, I'm same way, but in that situation, you just got to let your brain recover.
Mhm.
And she's doing that.
It's good.
But she's continuing to push her boundaries, which is good. She because she's a tough old bird.
Hmm.
Appreciate everyone with the with the comments. I do appreciate it. I know she will too. I'll tell her. Uh, yeah, she'll be okay. It's just going to take some time. They told her it's just going to take. She's probably going to be out of work for several weeks. She's already been out for a while, so um, and she worked. I mean, she worked quite a bit actually. She works in a grocery chain, and she worked. It's nothing for her to work 50 hours a week. That was pretty common. Yeah, most of the time it was more than that. So anyway, everybody's ready. Let's move along. Report 326. Now the recurrence date was on the 28th of December. The report date's the 2nd. Another fast-minute report. Interview of Teresa Shabesta. Don't remember who this is.
That name is
Oh,
familiar.
another deputy clerk. How about that?
That sounds about right.
She works in the juvenile, and she's been there for 24 and a half years. She knows Link. She advised that Link used to bailiff years ago, so she does know him. She said she was advised with Colburn. There's nothing here. 327. Now we're in the first of 2007 January 2nd. Interview of Lynn Dvorak. I don't remember this one either.
You sleep out here. You sleep with me. Oh, the whole internet just heard that.
Dvorak is a civil clerk.
Why is that name familiar? Oh, it's spelled different.
It is, but it's almost like that was some kind of intentional thing to move their name away from the other Dvoraks. I don't know. I'm just saying that. Maybe not.
That is interesting.
It is, because Dvorak is a pretty common name in that region.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, she'd been a civil clerk with MT for Manitowoc County for 3.5 years. She does not know Link. You recognize the name of Colburn. There's nothing here. 328. We're back in December the 20th. Current date, 22nd. Report date. Interview of Robert Hinak. And if I'm not mistaken, he's some kind of lawyer. Can't remember.
Oh yeah, I think I just read his name regarding Stephen's blood when he was in prison.
Yeah, I asked him a couple questions about the blood that had been drawn from Avery in 95 or 96 when Hennick was representing. Okay, he was an Avery lawyer. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hennick provided the following information. Again, this is not a new report. We've had this one. So there's nothing new here. 329, contact information from Daniel Westfield, Department of Corrections Security Chief. Again, we're back in December. This is another fast-minute report. Notice how many of these are out of order. It really sticks out to me. It bothers me a great deal.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like a natural flow.
It's not. It's not. Fast-minute telephone contact with Westfield, Security Chief for Wisconsin Department of Corrections. He's asked to ensure that all the records pertaining to Stephen Avery have been examined to see if there was any indication Avery having blood drawn from him pursuant to a court order around November or December of 95 or January of 96. And he went on and talks about that. But again, we've got this report. There's nothing new there. I'll say that. I'm going to double check, but I've looked earlier. I'm pretty sure. Yep. Now we're going to get into a few here shortly. We've got 329, 330, or we had 331 through 333 we didn't have.
Okay.
So we'll see what those are when we get to them here in a minute. 330, we're back up into early 2007. Contact with Janet Bonin again. Fassbender and Wiegert made contact with Bonin, deputy clerk. At her office, Bonin was asked if she remembered there being blood in the Stephen Avery sexual assault file. Under case 85 FE 118, advised that as of today, she did not have any independent memory of blood being in those files. She said she became aware of it when Stephen Avery's current defense team brought the motion pertaining to the blood. Bonnie advised that she cannot recall if she in fact saw it in the files or was aware of it back when the files were looked through by former district attorney in response to a court order to have some of the evidence released. So,
Former district attorney.
yeah, that was Fitzgerald, I think, wasn't it?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Fitzgerald.
I was thinking Vogel.
All right, 331. We don't have this one, or we didn't have this one. This is early January 2007 report. Fassbender. I did read through this, but I don't think there's anything relevant.
This is
Zygmunt was
a couple months before Stephen's trial started, right?
about 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Zygmunt was asked if she was aware of blood being stored in the Stephen Avery assault file under the old case number 118. Advised that she was not aware of blood being in that file and that she was not even aware of the extent of the exhibits in that file. So nothing there. 332, another one we didn't have. First of the year again. Interview of Daniel Whitney, clerk of court. Director of Business Operations with the Manitowoc County. They just have all kinds of people. Whitney provided the following information. Whitney advised that he was director of the business operations and had been employed with the clerk of court's office since March of 2004. He advised he does not know Link. He advised he knows Colburn by name only and does not have any face recognition of him. Nothing there. 333, around the same date, interview of Tom Kasurik. We did not have this one.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's only a 2-page report, so you want to read this one?
Yeah, I sure do.
Okay. Go ahead. You can start if you want. And if you want to take a break, let me know and I'll help you read some.
All right. Wisconsin Division of Criminal Investigation Case Report number 05-1779333. On Wednesday, January 3rd, 2007, Special Agent Thomas J. Fassbender and Detective Mark Wiegert of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department interviewed Tom Kasurik at his office, Big Brothers Big Sisters of Manitowoc County, Inc., 810 Washington Street, Manitowoc, Wisconsin. Phone number as follows. Kasurik was the former Manitowoc County Sheriff. Upon meeting with Kasurik, they introduced themselves. That's what a weird turn of phrase. They introduced themselves and asked Kasurik if they could ask him some questions. Who wrote this report?
Fassbender.
Why is he using the that
Because Fassbender and Uyghur was with him, so he's using they.
we? It should be if we could ask him some questions, right?
Fassbender. It's Fassbender. Yeah, it's Fassbender. So
Yeah, that's really odd. Because CERT provided the following information. Does anyone else think that's odd? Let me know in the comments. Because CERT advised that he never looked through the Stephen Avery sexual assault file. BS under case 85-FE-118 after, oh, maybe not, after it was at the clerk of court's office. Because CERC advised he did not know of anyone from the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department who went through those files. Because CERC advised he did not know any blood existed and was not aware that a sample had been taken. Because CERC advised he was aware that appeals were ongoing during that period, but he was not aware that any blood had been taken. Because CERC advised that no one ever told him that there were any blood samples in the clerk of court's office related to that case. Because CERC commented that he really had nothing to do with the appeals. I'm going to call BS right now, and I'll explain why. Because CERC advised that it was not in the normal course of business for him to go to the clerk of court's office. He commented that during his tenure at the sheriff's department, he could not recall going into clerk of court's office for anything. Because CERC advised if he were to go to the clerk of court's office, he would have to be allowed into their office area by one of the clerks. He advised he did not have a key and did not know the code to get in. Because CERC advised that he did go to the counter of the clerk of court's office. He advised that each time that he was reelected, he had to provide a list of his deputies to the clerk of courts. And again, he just did that at the counter. Because CERC advised he never went back into the office area. Because CERC provided no further information and the interview was concluded. So years ago, Susan and I were talking about this. When Stephen was in prison for the penny assault, I think we might have actually done a podcast on this. Do you remember him writing a letter to the governor, Tommy Thompson or something?
yeah, it seems like I do. I do remember that.
And talking about what a dangerous man Stephen Avery was and that he did not deserve parole or whatever. But yet he's going to say he had nothing to do with it after he was convicted.
Well, he may not have had anything directly public, but I bet his phone and other means of communicating were very warm.
Yes. I'm sure he kept close tabs on what was going on in Stephen Avery's prison life.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I agree.
And I just find it, I'm hard pressed to think that he didn't go strutting around in the clerk of court's office either.
Yeah, I don't know all their official duties, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, he's denying it. He's denying it, but you take that for what with whatever salt or no salt. I guess that's up to. Anyway,
that's a very bizarre report.
It is. All right, of course we're moving back into some that at least let's see, 334. Let's see where we're at here. 35, 36, 37. Yeah, the next 34 through 37 we already had. Then we're going to run into several that we don't. 330 after 337 through 342 we don't have. 338 through 341 we don't have, or we didn't have.
Okay.
All right, 334, still in the 1st of January 2007. Interview of Joanne Hoffman, former deputy clerk. So I'm sure there's nothing here as usual. On contacting her, they identified themselves and asked Hoffman if they could ask her some questions relating to Stephen Avery investigation, and she agreed. Hoffman provided the following: advised she was retired from the clerk of courts. She advised that she was a clerk of courts from about 79 to January of 97. So she'd been there for 18, 18 years. Yeah, something like that. She advised she also lives out of state and that she uses her son Richard's address, etc. Um, Hoffman advised she recalled very little about the Stephen Avery assault case. Blah blah blah. Nothing here. We've had this one. There's nothing else here. 335. Still in the same date frame. Interview of Shirley Wilda, another former deputy clerk. I told you they did a bunch of these. I was
Yeah,
shocked.
they did.
I was
Wow.
shocked. Yeah, I was shocked that they interviewed so many. Um, the same thing. They wanted to ask questions about the Avery investigation. Wilda agreed to answer questions. She provided the following. She advised that she began working for Manitowoc in 1947. Holy cow! She advised
47?
Yeah. She advised she became deputy clerk with the clerk of courts office about 1965 and then retired in 1997. Holy cow. She worked there in some capacity for 50 years.
Wow.
That's
Boy,
crazy.
she knows all the secrets,
I'm sure she does.
or did.
Yeah.
She's, well, 47, so she yeah, she'd
She had
be in
been born
her
there
90s if she's still
a
alive.
lot. Oh yeah, absolutely. She would have had to have been born in the late 20s
Mm,
probably to went to work in 47 to make her, at least 18 or 19.
yeah.
I doubt they'd ever hired her younger than 18, but they did some strange things back then, but I doubt it. Anyway, um, there's nothing here that we didn't already know. 336. Um, we're still in January 5th, 07, still early January. I'm sorry, interview of Beth Dittman at the Dodge Correctional Institution. And advised Fassbender that she had Stephen Avery medical records with her and had double checked them and determined that there was no record of a blood draw on or around the dates November, December 95 or early 96. She advised that there was no court order for the blood draw for that blood draw in the file. Dittman advised that she was able to determine by looking at the file that it was his complete medical file. She advised that there were entries on dates prior to the dates in question, as well as other dates in question right up to his release. Yeah, because he was at, I can't remember that one prison, Kettle. I can't
Was
remember the
it
name of it.
Kettleman or
Seemed like Kettleman. Yeah, that we suspected. I guess many still do that he did have a blood draw there that was not really accounted for. But I don't.
Mhm.
We again being in prison that long, it would be shocking that if there wasn't several blood draws, and not for nefarious purposes. I'm not saying that at all. All right, moving on. Report 337. This is the last one of the ones we've had. Interview of Gina Hall. Again, this first of the year of in January 2007. Um, Hall works for the Manitowoc County Clerk of Courts. Hall provided the following. She advised that she is an interpreter with the clerk's office. She advised she works part-time, 10 hours per week. She advised she works on Wednesdays and sometimes Fridays. She advised she started with the clerk of courts in in 2004. So she hadn't been there long. She gave her home address in Sheboygan. She does not know Link or Coburn. Nothing there. She's an interpreter.
Mm-hmm. And a
Uh,
new hire.
yeah. We're getting into a few here that we don't have or didn't have. January 5, 2007, Stacy Wallander. I don't think there's anything here. I think I did read through it. Another deputy clerk with the Manitowoc County Clerk's Office. Wallander had been asked to telephone Fassbender. She provided the following. Wallander advised that she is the filing clerk with the Manitowoc County Clerk of Courts. She advised that she started in '94, so she'd been there for 13 years. Wallander advised that she does not know Link. She advised she knows Colburn by picture. She has never seen him in the clerk's office. So nothing here. 39, same date. Interview of Crystal Meyer. Fassbender interviewed Crystal Meyer, another deputy clerk. What are we up to now? Like 10?
Yeah, at least.
Meyer provided the following information about she is the family clerk with the Manitowoc County Clerk of Courts. She advised she started with the clerk's office, another one in '94. She advised she does not know Link or Sergeant Colburn. Nothing there.
That seems to be a recurring theme.
Yep, 40. Defense witness contact. Norbert Cretin maybe, I guess. Anyway, we're up to the 17th of January, so we're about roughly 3 weeks from trial. We're contacting a defense witness. I don't remember this guy testifying. Anyway, this is a Heimerl report. January 8, 2007, Heimerl was assigned to assist with additional investigation related to the Halbach investigation. Heimerl was assigned to contact subjects listed in the defense witness list. He made contact with this Norbert guy who resides somewhere in Mishkat. He identified himself, explained the reason for the contact. Heimerl explained to Cretin that he was listed as a potential witness by the defense attorney for Avery. Heimerl asked Cretin if he was aware of that, and he stated that he was not. Cretin stated that he has not received any subpoenas or has not been contacted by any investigators with the state of Wisconsin or Stephen Avery's defense attorneys. Cretin stated that he did not know why he was listed as a potential defense witness. He stated he did not believe he had any information relevant to the investigation. That's interesting. I knew that I'd never heard the name. 341 is another one we don't have. So this is going to be one of those that's redacted. I have no idea who this person is. Another defense witness. This is around the same time frame, the 19th of January. I made contact with this person. Heimerl asked this person if he was familiar with the investigation involving Stephen Avery. Blank stated that he was at the Avery Salvage Yard in the fall of 2005 when numerous law enforcement officers arrived at the business. Okay, so he was there and may have gotten held. As you know, if you all remember, when they arrived on scene, they held everybody that was there on the yard. They held them, etc., etc. Heimerl is noted that the defense witness includes the names of 2 individuals which are redacted, provided by this person here. And these could be 2 more that were actually on the yard when they arrived. Blank was asked if he had received a subpoena regarding the matter, or he had been contacted with the defense attorneys, and he stated that he had not. That's interesting. this close to trial. 342. Yeah, we back into the one. Some of the ones we got. We're going to do a few more, then we're going to call it a day.
Okay.
I don't want this to get mind numbing because we don't have that many more to go. Probably another open mic or two, and we'll have these knocked out.
All
Defense contact with Sheila Berry. This is on the 22nd of January. Oh, I'm sorry. This is another Kevin Howell report. I don't know who this person is.
A deputy
she was
clerk of court.
no, she was.
It's redacted.
Resides at. I'm looking at work telephone. Identified himself verbally and explained the reason for the contact. Howell inquired of Ms. Berry if she had any information relevant in the investigation revolving Halbach and pending trial. Stephen Avery stated Miss Berry stated that Mr. Berry. So this one that didn't get redacted. So it's somebody named Berry.
Mm-hmm.
She did not have irrelevant information. Stated that she believed. Okay, it's Ms. Berry, not he. I'm sorry. She believed that she saw Halbach or a dead bang look-alike on 3 occasions in Richmond, Virginia. The incident occurred and gives the dates there. That's interesting. I'll ask Ms. Berry to describe those incidents, and she does. We're not going to read through all that. That's interesting. Looks like it goes on at some length there, but well, as far as I know, she didn't testify. 343. We're up to the 19th, the current state, 22nd report date, another Howell report. Contact subjects listed on the defense list. 19th, Howell made contact with Manitowoc County Coroner Deb Kakash. Howell identified himself verbally, explained the reason for the call. Howell asked Coroner Kakash if she was aware that she was listed as a potential defense witness in the case. She stated that she was not aware of this. Kakash was asked that she did not know why she may be called as a witness and stated that she does not know what type of testimony may be needed from her as a defense witness, as she felt she had no relevant information other than being the coroner for Manitowoc County. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I would have thought that Beating and String would have talked to her prior to that. 344, defense witness contacts Scott Mueller. This is the 17th of January. Another Howell report. Made contact with this guy. Or identified himself. He asked if Mueller had any information that may be relevant to his investigation. Mueller stated he had been requested to respond to the Avery Salvage business by Queso during the time when law enforcement was conducting a search of the property. Mueller stated that he opened a safe at the business under the direction of the county sheriff's office. Okay, he broke into the safe for him. Okay.
Yeah. The one in the office on the AXY. Yeah.
That big safe. They destroyed it. They could have just gotten Alan to open it for him, or Chuck. 345. The 19th is the occurrence date, 19th of January. Witness contact Shannon Hine. Don't remember this name either. Let's see if there's anything.
With her?
Heimer inquired if Miss Hine was aware that she was listed on the defense list. She stated that she was not.
Is that unusual, I wonder?
Well, I would think so, being, here we are, 3 weeks out from trial starting. And
Yeah.
there's still plenty of time, but I would think that there would at least been a conversation between the defense attorneys and a potential witness that's saying, well,
We may
I don't
call
know,
you.
we may give you a subpoena because we think you might have something relevant to add. I would think so, but not being a lawyer, I don't know that. Anyway, she says her only apparent relevance to this investigation was through her employment with the Wisconsin Department of Corrections. Heim stated that she was formerly the supervising probation agent for Avery's girlfriend, Jody Stokowski.
Hmm.
Yeah, she stated that throughout the Halbach investigation, she had several contacts with Calumet County Investigator Wiegert. I don't remember her name being that though, because if you remember, her probation officer called numerous times. Jody's did.
Yeah.
She made one call for sure to Manitowoc, and I'm thinking there was two calls to Calumet. I don't remember that name being hers, but maybe I'm just misremembering. There's too many names to keep nailed down in my head. All right, let's do. You know what? Let's just call it good right here. That's 345. That's a good, not even number to end it on.
Yeah. That's funny. I'm the same way. Um, what I find the potential list of defense witnesses. How would one try? Do we have that copy of that?
No, the defense list was the defense witness list.
Yeah.
No, no.
Okay. Because I'd be curious to see why they would put these certain people on there. You know?
Yeah, they seem pretty irrelevant to me. I mean, I don't know what they could have. I mean, Deb Gotch, yes, I do see the potential for Deb,
Yeah.
but the rest, I'm not so sure. I'm just not seeing it.
Uh-uh.
And these multiple calls for all these clerks and deputy clerks and retired clerks, that seemed a bit ridiculous to me. Um, I mean, I guess there's being thorough, and then there's being overly thorough. I don't
Oh
know.
yeah. I'm going with B, overly thorough.
Yeah.
Um
Oh, Susan remembered the name Kettle Moran. Yep,
that's
that's
it.
exactly what it was. Yep, that's right. You nailed it, Susan. Um, there's a few questions I've missed here. One from Danny Brewer's fan. Wasn't the Avery stuff sitting out? It wasn't actually in the locked room. Well, no, that the clerk. Yeah, it was in the clerk's office, which does lock, and you had to have a key, the master key, or a cipher to open the lock because it was a cipher lock. So you had to have a master key or the cipher. Um, and a big box too. It was not small. I mean, you know, not to say that somebody couldn't get in it. It would have been tough.
Hey, but yeah, getting it in and not being in it, not being obvious would be hard hard to do. Unless you snuck in during business hours when all 25 of these um assistants.
Numer,
Yeah,
they had an office full, man.
yeah,
They
and
had
I don't see everybody being distracted at once.
it's pretty crazy how many
Mm-hmm.
were there. Um, yeah, I kind of looked back through here to see if I'd missed any other questions. I didn't really see anything.
And I find Fassbender's wording in that report strange. It's like he's talking about himself in a third person. You know, they, but you were part of the they, so it should be we. Like, why? I feel like someone else clearly wrote that report.
It's very possible. It wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me at all. I mean, I don't know the process at the DCI, but as we know, in Calumet, is exactly what they did after page, I think it's like 290 in the CASO report.
I remember
It
the
was,
first time I came across that, I thought, that is so bizarre.
yeah, yeah. So those reports could have been written days, weeks after the fact, and there's so much lost. If you don't get a report done relatively quick, you just lose it because you're continuing to investigate. You're talking to new people. It can get crazy, I'm sure, for them.
Well, and then that page that you're referencing in the CASA report, I believe the phrase, and I'm paraphrasing, is basically saying all reports written after this time have been or they've been written by others than the officers.
That's
So
right.
how does someone who didn't participate in the actual event that this report is memorializing, how are they able to? It's almost like you're giving yourself an out for inaccuracies.
Well, that's one of the things. I mean, it's basically it comes down to how accurate is the report.
Yeah, because now you're able to say, oh, well, they wrote an inaccurate thing, or they didn't include this, or you see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
how do you expect someone to accurately memorialize a interview, or what, like, what occurred when they didn't actually participate?
yeah, exactly right. Going by notes and dictation, it's just not enough to me. I agree.
And then where are these notes? Because if they're using these notes to write the report
Yeah,
because they didn't participate, I feel like those notes should be part of the file so we can see what they're referencing to write the report, right?
yeah, I agree.
Okay.
But again, to me, if the actual officer that did a task went to talk to somebody or whatever, if they don't write the report, there's so much that can be lost, is lost.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just can't. I'm just thinking about the industry that I was in for 25 years. I just can't think of after I became a supervisor sloughing off my paperwork that I was responsible for on a daily basis, unless there were some circumstances that the paperwork could be done by someone else, certain things. But if there was like a accident, I had to fill out an accident report. I had to fill it out. That could not be done by no supervisor. Period. End of story.
Uh-uh.
It didn't matter if you had to stay over for 2 hours. You were responsible for that report being filled out properly and turned in before you walk out of the building. I just can't imagine it. I don't know. It's just like it's considered not something really important. And to me, these reports are super important. They should be accurate. They should be as detailed as they can make it without, writing a book, but detailed. Don't lose the relevant stuff.
Yeah, well, they're evidence that can potentially put someone in prison for the rest of their life.
That's right.
And
That's
so
right.
they should be regarded and treated as such, because you're literally holding someone's freedom in your hands, and you would not want to. I know I would take that very seriously, and I'd want to
Oh,
make sure to accurately represent that which I'm trying to write about.
Absolutely. Jay's got a question here he put up that I scrolled up and found. Why did the court ask for Zelda's appeal to be cut down in word count? And in the court of appeal, they said she didn't explain herself in length. I think she had asked for. They're only allowed. Now, look, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm sure Sunshine Christina and Susan's still in chat. When a lawyer turns in a brief, they are only allowed, I think it's 15,000 words, and it has to be in the correct format laid out on the page, yada, 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 because they want conformity. They don't want a bunch of weird, fonts and all that kind of stuff. So there are rules and limits that are applied to them. Oftentimes, lawyers, depending on the case, will ask for an extra whatever. Let's just say 5,000 words or whatever the case may be. And I think she asked for an expanded word count, and I seemed like she got it, but again, I don't think it was like a huge number. But
I remember her getting it once for sure.
yeah, I can't remember for sure, Jay, but you know, yeah, they did say she didn't explain herself in certain sections, but at the same time, they didn't explain how the RAV4 is not evidence, but the key and her electronics were. Yet somebody has got her car 3 or 4 days after she's reported missing, or a couple of days after she's reported missing, but that's not evidence of anything. I don't understand that logic. Somebody please explain it to me and try to help me through it. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's now if Stephen had been seen in that car, it'd be evidence.
Oh, Susan said that they denied her word count increase. Okay, all right, fair enough. I couldn't remember.
They denied her word count, and so yeah, their question is fair. It's almost like they're setting her up to fail.
Yeah.
I'm sure
the word
she
count
is. I'm sure Zellner is like a thorn in their side that they want to go away, just like the rest of us.
Oh, I've had so many people that just tell me to, you need to stop, and what's it going to take to get you to quit, and why don't you do something else with your life? And I'm like, and pardon my French, everyone, just go mind your fucking business and do what you want to do, and I'll do the same.
Yeah.
Right? I don't tell people what to do. I wouldn't dare.
Mm-mm.
I mean, short of unless they're going to hurt themselves, I would interfere. I would definitely interfere. But as far as what somebody wants to do with their free time, what business? And I've had so many people. I lost count. I bet it's been upwards of 40 people that wrote me, DM'd me, or whatever. You just need to stop. You're being crazy and whatever. I've had people openly say it to me as well. Well, I'm interested in. Yeah, this is another conversation, and I promise I'm going to shut up after this. This is another conversation I got into with someone on X on the other side about every time we get something, we're disappointed, and that's not true at all. I'm never disappointed. Now, if it's the same thing that is said somewhere else, yeah, it's a letdown. But I think about all the times we've got something, and now it can't be explained. I can't explain what you did in 2022. I can't. No one can.
Mm-mm.
The Disturbed Earth unfiled search warrant has been called everything under the sun to try to justify what Uyghur wrote. And I'm sorry, it can't be explained.
Mm-mm.
So
no,
how does that become? It becomes a disappointment because it hasn't been used. Yeah, that part's disappointing. But who knows what the future holds? There have been so many other ones too that their eyebrow raising. But
Gregory
knowing that,
knowing, that he had been matched, like
oh
that
yeah,
to me is probably one of the biggest pieces of evidence that,
that was a
um,
shocker.
yeah, that from the Lautenschlager down, they all were being very, at minimum, and I'm trying to be kind, they were being very dishonest about the attention
The
and,
lie of the lies of omission.
yep, and the information they had, um, and knew about during this investigation into Teresa Halbach's disappearance, um, and preceding Brendan's arrest. They knew, that if the media got a hold of the fact that Gregory Allen had, his DNA had tested, and he had a warrant out for another sexual assault committed while Stephen was in prison for the Penny Bernstein assault.
Yep,
Um, they
that rolls
knew,
right back. That rolls right back to Kasork and Vogel.
yep, they knew that the media would have, the whole perspective and narrative would have changed back to, what was Manitowoc County thinking, and then why were they involved in this case of Teresa's disappearance, yet telling us they weren't.
Right, they buried it.
Yep. One of the biggest, like, what in the heck moments was when the reporter was literally saying Manitowoc County is not, or playing the clip where, Manitowoc County had, what's it called, seceded, or like given control of the case to the DOJ and Calumet, and yet on the screen is the all the Manitowoc County cop cars.
Yeah, that was funny. That's funny.
And I'm just like, that's literally, I don't want to name names, but I mean, like, you can't, do you really think you're going to talk us into believing that our eyes aren't seeing what they're seeing, or what?
Right. Hey, before we get out of here, I did want to impart one more story. I apologize, from X. And this kind of involves us, I guess, in some way from by accusation. But apparently, in the last few days, YouTube removed Ken Kratz' YouTube channel.
What?
Yeah, they deleted his channel, and you can read it on X. I'll or I can send you a link, but um, there have been some that have blamed foul play for that. That we've complained or made a report or something against his channel, and I can tell you that didn't happen. We
Uh-uh.
had we had nothing to do with that. There has been zero conversation, and I'm talking about in private chat or individual chat with anyone that I've talked to, and I talked to, well, I won't say everybody, but I talked to many. Nothing. We have no. People are free to say whatever they want on YouTube. We don't do that. Now, if somebody gets on and is telling a bunch of lies about people of foul play, yeah, we're probably going to intervene. But here's the thing with YouTube, for anyone out there that's uploaded a video to YouTube, when you upload a video, it goes like if you do a premiere, well, like a premiere, or like when we upload phone calls or interviews, you upload it and it goes through, it says processing. And depending on the length and quality, it can take a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. It can take 5 minutes. It can take 10 minutes. It can take 20 minutes. It can take 30 minutes. It can take 1 hour. It can take 2 hours. It can take 3 days. It can take 4 days. It can take 5 days. It can take 1 month. It can take 2 years. It can take 10 years. It can take 100 years. It can take 1,000 years. It can take 1 million years. It can take 1 billion years. It can take 1 trillion years. It can take 1 billion years. It can take 1 trillion years. It can take 1 billion years. It can take 1 trillion years. It can take 1 billion years. It can take 1 trillion years. It can take 1 billion years. It can take 1 trillion years. It can take 1 billion years. It can take 1 trillion years. It can take 1 billion years. It can take 1 it might take 2 hours. It might take 3, depending on the circumstances. Like the Brendan 5-hour interview with on March 1st, that full thing. I think it took. I got a pretty decent connection. I think it took. It. I think it took like 2.5, 3 hours before it finished processing, because they have an algorithm or a set of algorithms that check the video of what you're uploading, and it's pretty good. It's not perfect, and then after it's done that, it does a copyright check. There's another check that occurs as well, and it's actually a little snaky as far as I'm concerned, but it goes through that check too. So it can take a few hours depending on what. Anyway, during that time frame, there's other things that they look for too. I don't know what all their criteria is. There is a terms of service and a community guidelines that if you break it, now YouTube will typically send you a message, an email, and say, look, we found X, Y, and Z. It's breaking our terms of service or the community guidelines. You have options to, and it'll pop up, like when you're in the YouTube studio, it'll pop up there too. You can't miss it because there's a big red banner and it says you have, whatever the case may be. You can't miss it at all. So I don't know. I'm uncomfortable in thinking that YouTube just came along and whacked him and took him off the air, took him off YouTube just willy-nilly. You're generally warned, and they will give you the option to remove whatever offensive material to them or breaking what they consider their terms of service. They'll allow you the option to remove it. It's just that simple. I've yet to hear from. I've, I have read cases where people have tried to upload prawn, just
I
rearrange the letters, rearrange the letters there a little bit for everybody that knows what I'm talking about. Prawn, okay,
yes,
and they will shut that down in a heartbeat. You can't do that. They don't play games there at all. So
I could see. So we all know that the state wants Kim Kratz to stop talking, and Kim Kratz loves the spotlight. That's pretty fair, right? And he keeps, every time he opens his mouth, he says something that just don't jive with the official narrative. I could see guilters mass reporting him, not truthers.
well, maybe I don't know. I'm sure that there are people that vehemently disagree with him, but at the same time, unless somebody is lying or doing something that breaks their term, it's their service. It's free. It doesn't cost anything to use it. So they have multiple guards at the gate, but again, they're pretty thorough and they're pretty good to work with because I've worked with them before about certain things, and it may take a few days, but we didn't have anything to do with it. I can tell you that right now. No one at Foul Play did. So anyone out there that's saying that, please don't. We had
Yeah.
nothing to do with whatever. And if he didn't break their terms of service, he can easily prove that. He'll get his channel back.
Had he posted any other content recently besides that one video that I knew?
Oh yeah, he's uploaded several of his in his series. I haven't watched them all. I watched some of them. And I can't remember the exact wording on Twitter about what this was allegedly about. It seemed like it was spam and something deceptive or something. I don't remember exactly what the wording. I'll send you the link, Christina, and you can see it.
Okay.
But I just wanted to say and bring it up and say we didn't have a damn thing to do with that. He can say whatever he wants. We don't have anything to do with that. If we hear something that is about us or whatever, we might rebut it. But then again, we might not. It's a free country, so whatever you want, So
Yeah.
anyway, that's all I've got, and I'm hungry. What about you?
um, I think, yeah, my granddaughters have done their best to be quiet, and they're about ready to be loud. So I'm glad I got to participate. What's up next, schedule wise for us?
I think
Tentatively.
I think Doc will probably be ready to um, be finished up with the next reading with the crew with the aftermath on Brendan. I know
Awesome.
he still had yeah, he just couldn't get done by yesterday, so he didn't do one. He told me he wasn't going to do it. So
Okay.
I mean, it's a lot to there's just a lot of back and forth and looking and reading and clipping and cutting and all that. It takes time. So
Well, he's doing such an amazing job, really laying out exactly what happened. And he's on to something with his he's connecting dots that
oh yeah,
once he's connected them, it's very obvious that this was the line of thinking being
well yeah,
employed.
and we are very thankful that these files came out because there was pages and pages of stuff we didn't have before about Brendan. Had
Hmm.
no idea that it occurred. We
Yeah.
didn't know that. I mean, what O'Kelly did to him, what he did to that kid, it should be illegal, in my opinion.
I don't know how O'Kelly is
Still
still
walking.
employable and free,
Yeah, I
honestly.
don't. I don't either. I really don't. I
Um,
really don't.
because it's not just Brendan's case where his actions have been questioned. You know, in Nicole's case, he tried to be a part of that, but there's like multiple cases in Texas, and then one. I want
There's
to
definitely
say
one. There was one in Michigan. He tried to collect
that's
$105,000 on,
yeah,
and
like
judge.
he's yeah. Not only does he get hired by the defense and then work for the prosecution, he is being very
Aggressive.
um, the amount of money he's charging back then that he was trying to charge is just astronomical.
I think
And
the judge gave him $15,000 and told him you'll be happy with that because that's all you're getting.
yeah, I mean, there was a young lady, an amazing attorney, who was appointed as a public defender for one of the young thug case defendants.
Yep.
And she had to go before the board and then get the media involved to get, because they only pay her like per case and it's something ridiculous. And this case, was, they had told her it was going to take a minimum of a year, and she was only going to make like $1,500. And thankfully, the other lawyers were able to help her get media exposure, and she got 5,000 a month with a cap of like 40 grand. But if that's the only case, and this was a serious case, you can't work multiple cases
No.
in your a one man show
No.
representing someone whose freedom is on the
It's on the
line.
line. No
Yeah,
way.
on a murder case. I mean,
I mean, to me, Christina and everyone, my opinion, O'Kelly seemed like a scam artist
oh
to me.
yeah,
That's how he comes across, scammy. The
I
way
agree.
he behaved in those ex parte meetings is deplorable. Anyway, let's get out of here. Take
All
care of your
right,
granddaughters. I'm going to have something to eat. We
all right.
appreciate everyone, as always, for coming, participating, going through these files. Um, some are good, interesting. Some we've already had. There's nothing there. It is what it is. We'll continue this next week. With that said, I'm going to tell you this has been a Foul Play production. Good night, everyone, and stay warm.